I think it's a mindset thing, Jim, and that's why I touched on it with Gareth. The mindset of the players going out and saying this isn't a summer break, waiting for our holidays. We can't afford to drop points in this game.
It's true, Simon, isn't it? This ain't no summer break. I mean, the players have just finished what has been a long, long season.
Yeah.
But there cannot be any notion that this is wind down time.
Well, that's the job of the England manager to ensure that it's not. I mean, a lot of distractions have been made about whether Jack Grealish's behaviour is befitting of a player coming into England duty, and obviously Gareth's addressed that and spoken about the necessity to use Man City players based upon their performances and ultimately their busy schedule coming up to the Champions League final. Let's be clear. I mean, Malta are a side that we should beat, a side that hasn't really laid a glove on anybody in as many years as we can hold up our hands up to. They've gotten beaten 6 and 7 by Slovakias and teams of that nature in the last couple of years. So I expect us to do our job. And Gareth's job as an England manager, albeit I don't think these fixtures in June are ideal timing for these fixtures, is to get the players to understand they're playing for their country. Stuart will understand that. He'll relate to that. And as he said in his interview with Gareth, he doesn't look towards the narrative of tired. He doesn't buy into that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the watching public feel, Stuart, that, well, hang on 1 minute. We've seen a whole bunch of these players finish a season, some celebrating their achievements. And now, are they really getting their minds on the job? And their minds on the job being putting more than a few past Malta?
Well, I think the one thing is, Jim, I don't think, this is my personal opinion, I don't think we'll see the likes of Jack Grealish, who you're talking about, starting in this game at all. I can see Walker and Foden potentially starting in it, maybe, unless Gareth draws a line and says the Man City players, I'm going to leave them out of this one because it will give me a couple of extra days preparation for the fixture on Monday. I think whichever way he goes, he'll get his eyes on all the players and see what they're like, both physically and mentally, and I don't think it'll be a problem whichever way it falls. But I can't see any of the City players that actually started the Champions League final starting this game this evening.
Stuart, when you look at one or two of the individuals in the England squad, the chance has come for Eberechi Eze, who said no to Nigeria but yes to England. Are we going to see what he can do for Southgate?
I'm not sure he'll start, Jim, but I certainly think he's got every chance of featuring. I think he's had a wonderful season for Palace, and him to be here in this squad and people talking about him as a potential starter is a magnificent thing. And I think he finished the season as strongly as probably any of the players in the England squad. So I, for one, am a big fan of his. I think he's done extremely well, and I'll be delighted if he features.
I think he's an exciting player, Simon. He can give Southgate a lot.
Oh, absolutely, he's a good player. And it's nice to see that, we've lost players like Victor Moses to go to Nigeria, we've lost players like Wilfried Zaha to go to Ivory Coast, that he's elected to play for England. He's a good player, and it's good to see, a side like Palace that's occupying the sort of bottom tier of the Premier League, getting players in and around that sort of field. And Southgate is true to his word. He picks players based upon their form, not based upon allegiances or big club mentalities or an element of only looking at the things that have been done previously for him. There is still an element of that he does, but Eze coming to the squad is entirely on merit.
Yeah. Stuart, if Tyrone Mings gets his chance tonight, I think he certainly will have earned it, because he finished the season very strongly with Aston Villa, right?
Totally agree, Jim. As I say, he's probably an individual that polarises opinion slightly, I think. So some people are big fans of his, some are not wowed by him, to be honest with you. But I've got to say, the back end of the season, Villa's form for the last certainly few months and their rise up the division, he's played his part in that. So credit to him for it. And I think he's probably in a stronger place at the moment, form-wise, as he ever has been when he's had the opportunity to be in the England squad.
Come on, Simon. I think you're warming to the fact that Mings is there he's there on merit.
I'm certainly warming to him. In terms of, I read his article in the Times, where I think he says a lot of things that are very sensible. And steeped in some educated thinking, as well as some acknowledgement of circumstances. So, yeah, I've not warmed to some of the things that have come out of his mouth over the last couple of years. I've not warmed some of his performances. But clearly, he's a decent centre-half. Whether he's a decent centre-half when he comes up against top-class opposition, that's going to give him more challenges than Malta, well, that's a different discussion.
Yeah. Over in Madrid yesterday, Stuart, we watched as Jude Bellingham came through his first ever media gathering, and what a gathering it was, with Perez there, of course, and the rest of the Real Madrid hierarchy. Talk about an old head on young shoulders. He conducted himself magnificently well. Is it any more advantageous for Southgate, Stuart, to have Bellingham in a Madrid shirt compared to a Dortmund one or Premier League one?
I personally, Jim, would prefer to see him playing on foreign shores. I know I've spoke with one or two people in and around, and they said it'd be nice if he come back and played in the Premier League and played in England. I don't subscribe to that. I think for the good of the England national team to have a few players, top quality players, playing on foreign shores, getting that life experience, and this is a very educated, very grounded, family-wise young player that knows exactly where he wants to go, where he wants to experience life. And I'm absolutely delighted he's not come back to the Premier League as yet. He will do in time, but I think this is a brilliant step for him. And I think on the back of playing in Spain for a club like Madrid, I think it will benefit England in the long run.
Okay, going into this, you wonder where Declan's head is right now, Stuart. All sorts of conjecture about where he's going to end up. The bidding has reportedly started back here. How is Declan? Where does his mind get into it?
Well, I think the good thing about him, Jim, and he should be a shining example for all players, and especially all young players that have interest to move away from their club. And he hasn't waned one iota over the last however many years. He's driven West Ham from the front on the pitch. He's been solid as a rock off the pitch in everything that he said. He knows there's a lot of speculation. There's every chance he's leaving the football club, but you don't hear him shouting his mouth off, I want this, I want that. And what will be, will be. He'll leave the club, I believe, in the summer, and he'll leave probably with the greatest of esteem from all the fans and all the staff and all the people that work for West Ham because of the way he's conducted himself. And I think he's an absolute credit to the professional game, I really do. But he'll end up moving this summer somewhere, but the price has got to be right for West Ham because they've got to replace him.
Okay, Stuart, you're part of the commentary team tonight. Very briefly, what do you want to see from England?
Just a good performance and a 3 points. Hopefully a clean sheet. I'm an old head with a defender's mentality, but you would like to see a couple of goals within the game. As Simon said, we should be winning this game and winning it comfortably. The earlier we score, the better. It will relax us into it. They'll be hot. They'll be very sort of compact and defensive, but you've got to break that down. But I think what we want for those players that come into it, and if there is one or two outside wild cards, if you like, Eze and people like that, can they stake a claim to be part of this setup that Gareth's created?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.